Hey everyone, happy Friday. Hope you're having a great day. Just want to take a few moments to remind us about what we should be focusing on each and every day. You see, what we choose to focus on every day makes a significant difference in our outcomes. We can concentrate on things that are positive, the positive, aspects of life, the positive aspects of every situation that we go through, or we can choose to embrace a negative viewpoint of what we're going through. We can adopt a worldly focus, or we can choose to focus on really a faith-filled hope that we can have in Jesus Christ. No matter what we go through in life, no matter what circumstance or situation we find ourselves in or we find ourselves facing, it's important, again, to always, as a Christian, as a child of God, to be able to exercise that faith-filled courage in determining our focus. Think about the different situations that you're facing in life right now. Now, I'm not trying to talk about the virus. I've heard a lot about the virus. You hear about it every single day from every social media platform you get on or whoever you talk to. Sometimes it seems to put a damper on the mood or the conversation. So I know that, that's a big part of our life right now, but, no doubt we're all going through something besides that. We're all going through something in life. We're all going through something different. And in those situations, we also have a decision to make. How am I going to respond? What am I going to do? In this situation, what will I concentrate on? Now, the question is this. In those trying times or difficult times, do we tend to focus on the positive aspects, as I mentioned a moment ago, or do we tend to focus on the negative? Truth is, no matter what we face in life, no matter how great or how horrible it may be, we all have that choice. We have the opportunity to exercise our faith in God as a child of God. Listen to what Paul wrote. Paul gives us a great reminder about where we should be putting our minds. And where we put our minds has everything to do with how we respond in times of trouble. Colossians 3, 1 and 2. If you have been raised with Christ, so he's talking to born-again Christians, all right? If you've been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things where? Above. Not on things that are on the earth. So Paul says, since you've been raised to a new life, you've been raised with Christ, you ought to turn your mind to spiritual matters. And that word seek there, in that context of seek, it's an expressing command. It's for action. And so it's better translated, keep seeking those things. Not just one thing, but keep seeking things that will keep your mind spiritually focused. I think that in the pursuit of seeking the things that are above, what often happens is our focus gets off, doesn't it? We tend to allow our minds to not stay focused on what really matters. So we're like Peter a lot. We're like Peter, and we take our eyes and our minds off Jesus for a minute, and then Jesus kind of has to remind us to get up and keep pursuing things above. So you remember Matthew chapter 14, when Jesus was walking on the water, Jesus being Jesus, walking on the water, and he's coming up to the disciples and in the boat, and they think it's a ghost, and they kind of get afraid, and he had to calm them down by saying, hey guys, it's me, it's Jesus. Well, immediately, what's Peter do? Well, Peter's going to be Peter, right? Peter does what Peter does best. He gets anxious and he begins to get excited in situations. Lord, if it's you, then command me to come to you and I will believe. Well, Peter got out and what happened? Well, Peter walked on water until he took his eyes off Jesus. Remember the wind came and it made him afraid. And he began the thought of who he was going after, the thought of who was causing him to walk on the water, his mind began to get off of that. And it started focusing more on the situation. It started focusing more on what was happening to him right then and there, and he began to sink. Do you ever feel like, you're walking along and something, comes up in life and you're afraid? and all of a sudden you think that, hey, what I'm going through or what's in my life right now is bigger than Christ. Because our eyes tend to, and our minds tend to get off of Christ, don't they? You know, the most important thing, I believe, in that story, to me at least, is when Peter reaches up and he says to the Lord, save me. Save me. You know, that's what we have to be willing to do. Remember James 4:10? James says to humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he'll do what? He'll lift you up. He will lift you up. Are you humble enough to ask God for help? Do you trust that God is listening when you do ask him for help, and that he will help you and that he will answer? You know, there's a great reminder that we don't talk about enough. In 1 John chapter 5, 14 and 15, John says this, I write these things to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life. And this is the confidence that we have toward him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And not only does he hear us, John says, but he goes on to say, and if we know that he hears us in whatever that we ask, we know that we have the request. We have the request that we have asked of him. So as soon as Peter asked Jesus for help, what does Jesus do? Well, the text says that Jesus, immediately reached out. He didn't scorn him. He didn't wait and say, I told you so. He didn't hesitate to reach out and save Peter. Jesus says to Peter, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? It's not that Peter didn't trust Jesus at all. He had a moment of doubt. How many times in our lives have we had those moments of doubt? I think often, no matter what we see Peter doing, whether he's fishing, whether he's preaching, whether he's confessing, or whether he's denying, we often find ourselves in his shoes, don't we? We often find ourselves in his place. Because like us, he often failed and he often stumbled. Because why? He took his eyes off of Jesus in the situation. And that's what we do. In life, in a situation, we take our eyes off of Jesus. We take our eyes off of what is above. But yet we also see Peter ascending to the mountaintop with his faith. And I know we all have those moments in our life. I just want you to remember as you go through each and every day, especially during these days, I want you to remember that Jesus is always there with you. And anytime you ask him to help you, he will immediately help you. We all have moments of weakness. Our eyes are sometimes off of Jesus and they're off of spiritual things and what they need to be on. But in those moments of doubt, in those seeking moments, humble yourself and ask God for a hand. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.